after leaving the Exclusive Brethren at the age of 22, I was very screwed up, and since then I've been extremely blessed to have three, what I attribute, three major healings, of which I'd like to pass on to everyone via this chapter, via this book, via this campaign. As one of the aims of this Cultic campaign is just to help people who have been wounded, damaged and scarred by their cultic experience. So here goes. Do you or does anyone you know need healing from past or present bad religious experiences? Maybe you were in a cult and still feel the rejection from the people you once knew so well. Maybe you are still wounded by the control and false authority that once ruled or is still ruling your life. Maybe you find it so hard to forgive yourself for wasting so many years in deception. Maybe you are separated from your parents and loved ones and still harbour strong feelings of bitterness and frustration, which is understandable. No matter how old and deep the wounds may be, whatever healing is needed, my prayer is that you will receive it and be able to move onwards in joy and peace and live the rest of your life free from the grip of the past. As you listen to this chapter, see if any aspects of my experiences could be useful to yourself or to someone you know. I realise how serious and sensitive this subject is. We're talking here about the quality of life for a human individual. Can a price be put on that quality of life for every individual? Nowadays, our society goes to great lengths to protect and care for one another. What would life look like with no health service, no police, no army, no health and safety, no schools or welfare benefit? Well, what about the millions of people that are suffering to various degrees with abuse, wounds and scars arising from religion? How is help going to come? Who cares? I have been incredibly fortunate over the years to have received significant elements of healing from my past. One of the hallmarks of my healing was when the past stopped being a daily part of my thinking, and the point came when I found I could talk about those years freely to anyone without any feeling of hurt, entrapment or dread. When I think of my parents, I have a smile and lightness in my heart. When I think of the members still in the cults, I only feel compassion and sadness for them all. Their leader put a wall between them and me, between my parents and myself. I found a way to forgive him. From my perspective, there is no wall now. I have grown in self-respect and confidence, no longer just a doormat or under the control of man. I have become acutely aware of honouring my free will and yours too. The confusion of the past appears to have been replaced with an exceptionally helpful understanding of why it all happened. I have learnt to accept people and allow them to be themselves without judging them. I no longer think I am right. Wow! That needs another book of itself, maybe called I Am Wrong. I've actually written a poem called I Am Wrong. I'll read it sometime. Nowadays, I am at peace regarding the Exclusive Brethren, and above all, I have every reason to love everyone unconditionally. I am not claiming to have fully arrived at any of these things, but I am sure I'm enjoying the journey. So healing for me came in three main parts. Here we go. Number one, acceptance of the grief and loss of losing my loving parents came through the experience of what is often known as the 5 stages of death. The second healing, unconditional forgiveness towards the Exclusive Brethren system and the leader who prescribed the laws that split my family and controlled us, which came through an amazing dream, which I'm going to tell you. And the third healing, the awakening to the power of love that came through realising that I am totally loved and accepted unconditionally by God. So, these three massive healings, I'm going to very briefly go through each one. Number one, the 5 stages of death. When a person leaves a cult or for whatever reason, it can be like experiencing a type of death. Even if you are the one that deliberately escaped, believing that getting out was the best thing for you, letting go of those closely knit bonds and the familiarity and belonging follows a similar process as mourning a death. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross created the 5 stages of death theory, of which the principles can be applied to many different aspects of loss in someone's life. The stages are not prescriptive, and their order and time scale can differ in each person and in every situation, and it does. Generally speaking, the principles can help bring an understanding and aid the healing process to an experience of any type of loss. In my cult escape, The loss I had to come to terms with was not the actual leaving of the exclusive brethren. I had long given up on keeping all their laws, and in my view, that whole spiritually abusive package required a different type of healing. I recognise these 5 stages in my healing process just apply to the traumatic loss of my parents, who I knew I might never see again, and I needed healing from that. Here is the way I see these 5 stages outworked in my particular experience. They started the moment I entered my apartment on the day that I left home. It was that at this moment that it finally hit me. I had escaped. I was free. But I had lost my parents. I cried continuously for 3 hours, during which the following thought processes occurred. Number 1, denial. The 5 stages are denial, anger, blame, depression, and then acceptance. So for me, the way it worked was this. Denial, I was in shock. I was with my parents half an hour ago. I had been with them from birth. Surely that has not come to an end. Surely I have not really left them. We are together really, aren't we? Then this moved into the 2nd stage, and so on. The 2nd stage was anger. I moved into anger. Why have I had to go through this impossible situation? Why have I had to make an impossible choice, eh? How dare I be cornered in such a way? How dare my life turn out this way? I went through anger, and then I transitioned into blame. From what I remember, I irrationally blamed the imaginary deck of cards that had been stacked against me, causing my life to come to this point. I moved then into depression, which I think lasted probably about the last 2 hours. What is the point of life? How can I go on feeling like this? I can't imagine ever feeling any different. I feel like I have had to shoot my parents and bury them under the patio. This is the last thing I ever wanted to do. They are distraught. I have made my mum cry. My dad felt trapped. They've lost 2 sons now. This is just awful. This is impossible. As the 3 hours went by and I just let it all out without any restraint. Low battery. My extreme emotions seemed to take me through these 4 stages, and I began to see and feel that these 4 feelings, denial, anger, blame and depression, were not answers. Of themselves, they were just deep feelings I was experiencing. They were revealers of the reality, or should I say my present reality, my transitioning reality even. The weeping seemed to exhaust each stage. I seemed to experience each emotion until I had seen and felt them from every angle. It was as though these emotions had been hidden in the dark, and the weeping gradually exposed them all to light, enabling me to see and understand them. As I said, they were not answers. When I saw them for what they were, they weakened and gradually lost their sting. It took me 3 hours, by which time a new feeling was to emerge. And I remember thinking these exact words and making a strong commitment. I don't like these feelings. They are very depressing. I am not going to carry on like this. I can't change the past. I'm going to the video shop to get some comedy videos. I had reached number 5, acceptance. I came to the place where I knew that denial, anger, blame and depression were never going to help me. It seemed that I had cried them out of my system. I saw them for what they were. They would only keep me down, control me and destroy me if I stayed in those 4 stages. In one sense, they were not my friends. They were just pointers, useful in that sense, to the journey that I must take to get free. They were not going to set me free. My coming to acceptance of these facts enabled me to see that though I can't change the past, life truly goes on. I wasn't living in my past. I accepted my lot. I was now living in the present. A wave of hope flushed through me, not hope for the past, because that was gone, but hope for now and the future. I went to the local video shop on Lawrence Road, Wavertree, and hired Faulty Towers and Laurel and Hardy. I watched them, laughed, and I've been laughing ever since. Why not? The sunny side of the street is always there. Look at that. Blazing into my face. And yours. If it's cloudy, the sun is still above the clouds. Anyway, clouds come to pass. There's no point in crying over spilt milk. More so, there's no point in crying over milk that hasn't been spilt. Why bang my head against a brick wall? These were some of the early metaphors that helped me choose the positive reality to my life. It appears that those extreme 3 hours fast-forwarded me into acceptance. If so, then I'm very fortunate. I've heard that some people take years to work through those stages. Having knowledge of the 5 stages, though, can enable you to understand a natural process that can help you be courageous during this time before you come out to the other side. And you will keep going, and you will come out to the other side into the sunshine. Many who apply the 5 stages to their own loss find it helps them move faster through their situation. If you're going through a loss right now, can you identify a stage you might be at? Everyone, of course, is different.